Okay, welcome everyone to the live stream. We are live. This is Sunday, 11 a.m. CST. So today we're going to be talking about OpenAI Dev Day 2004, and there's a lot of topics to unpack. Now, this is a live stream, and every Sunday I come online and answer your questions. We also take questions from the academy, and then we answer them live directly. So if you have any questions, make sure you put it in the chat. And so I can answer those questions for you, and then also tell me where you're from and why you love to learn AI agents. Okay. So while I set things up, and as people keep coming in, let's get ready to watch and also break down some of the insights from the fireside chat that we recently had with Sam Altman. And there's a lot of things that came out of this. And we're going to also do a practical hands-on tutorial with the real-time voice API. And this is going to be exciting as well. Now, before I do this, I want to set up Revelator, my voice assistant, who's also going to be part of the podcast, explaining some concepts here and there, acting as somewhat of, an assistant for us. So we are going to get that set up. Give me 1 second. All right. Okay. Let's go ahead and pick one of these voices. All right. Revelator, you are a voice assistant that provides expert advice on podcast topics when prompted. You shall only speak when I ask you questions, and you should also offer your advice in concise, informative response without engaging in dialogue or interrupting. Does that sound good?
Understood. When you're ready, just ask away.
Great. So
I'm here.
Okay, Revelator.
Ready when you are.
Okay, cool.
Yes, India. Great. Just let me know whenever you need me.
All right, today we're diving into OpenAI's DevDay 2024, a major annual event in the world of artificial intelligence. Now, DevDay is OpenAI's developer conference where they announce new features, tools, updates for their AI platforms. For those of you who might not know, OpenAI is one of the leading AI research and development companies. They're the creators of ChatGPT, GPT-4, and other groundbreaking AI models, right? I'm pretty sure you guys know this.
Absolutely. DevDay is a pivotal moment for AI enthusiasts and developers. This year, we saw significant advancements, especially with new features that make AI more accessible and integrated into various platforms. Anything specific from DevDay you want to dive into?
Revelator, we're going to discuss that in a little bit, but I wanted to let the audience know some of the highlights before actually watching this video together. And as people are coming in, also make sure you put it in the comments, any questions you have, any things that, that is troubling you or is of your concern. Or perhaps you have some questions regarding creating AI solutions, turning your ideas into practical, profitable solutions. I'm here to help you answer those questions for you. Just make sure you put it in the comments so I can see that.
Sounds like I'm here, ready when you are.
Revelator, please only answer when I ask you a question, okay?
Got it, Diaz. I'll respond only when you ask a question.
All right, cool. All right, cool. So if you guys are joining in, just put in your comments where you're from and what are you excited to learn about AI or AI agents. If you haven't created an AI solution yet, I would love to learn about some of your ideas that you have, and maybe we can talk through and break it down for you to turn this into practical, profitable solutions, whether it's a app or a assistant or agent, whatnot. Okay, so there's a couple of things that came out. Just want to give you like an executive summary. The vision fine tuning. Now this allows developers to customize AI models for specific visual tasks. Real-time API. This enables the creation of more natural conversation AI applications. And I'm going to actually show you what that looks like. They actually have basically a tool that we can use together, like an app that's already built out, and you can test the real-time APIs. Just plug in your API keys, and it's just amazing, right? And it does function calls, and it checks the weather in real time. We're gonna check that out in a little bit. The other feature that came out was model distillation. It's a way to create smaller, more efficient AI models that retain much of the power of larger ones. Okay, so let's test this out for a little bit. Okay.
Great overview. Ready when you are.
All right. So check this out. You guys might have used GPT 4.0, right? GPT 4.0. Okay. Or perhaps the reasoning model, which is the GPT, I believe it's the strawberry model, right? Now, a lot of these models are very expensive, right? If you have a business that runs on these models, then you have to also, make sure that the solution is cost effective. So what a lot of people do is basically they use the best models for their applications. They start off with a really good model to power up their AI applications. And then what they do is they produce data. Okay, and this data could be from the real-time conversations, from the assistant, the user, all that. So that is all data, and perhaps you have some kind of knowledge base. It gets fed into that data as well, and then over time you generate like a really nice data set. Okay, and this data set really can then be used to fine-tune a low-cost model like a GPT maybe 3.5, or maybe GPT 3.5 is obsolete at this point. So I would rather use the GPT, the mini, GPT-O mini, which is more cost efficient, and it's very powerful as well. Now, if you know how to fine tune, if you don't know how to fine tune, I'm going to put a lot of tutorials how you can actually fine tune some of the good models with good data, and then create your own custom AI models that is cost effective as well. Now, OpenAI made it easier from this DevDay. What it looks like, the feature that's going to come out is model distillation. Okay, they're calling it model distillation. And model distillation is a way to create smaller, more efficient AI models that retain much of the power of larger ones. Let's see. Okay, so they actually have this feature within the playground. So as you know, OpenAI has a UI interface called Playground. Okay, so you can actually go to OpenAI Playground and actually start fine-tuning using the good models, and then start fine-tuning those good models with your data and producing those model distillation, or perhaps those fine-tuned lower end models. So you could do that all in the UI interface. So it's not released yet, but that's going to come out soon, and that's going to make things so much easier for you. So you can imagine yourself using, using the power of your own custom data. So, for example, if you are a lawyer, or if you work with maybe people, or your clients are working in a specialized, department, they have niche knowledge, they have specialized knowledge. So you have now collected all these specialized knowledge with a good model, and then you have now trained it on a low-end model. Because think about this, the general intelligence is basically trained on a lot of stuff, history, politics, all these kind of stuff. You probably don't need this. Maybe your client is a dentist and they don't need all this stuff. So when you actually fine-tune the models, right, it becomes powerful, but it's also very specialized and it's cost effective. So it's a win-win across the board. So that is one of the features that I'm really excited about. And then the last one they talk about is prompt caching. Okay, I made a YouTube video earlier about Claude doing the similar thing with prompt caching. And this feature can significantly reduce costs for developers by offering discounts on frequently used prompts. Okay, prompt caching. So it looks like there's a lot of things that are coming out that's going to make things a lot easier for people to start building applications and not worry about the cost aspect, because as you know, the token cost could add up. But now you have a lot of options to start thinking about how you can create a profitable AI solution using everything that's available for you. Now, if you want a more breakdown of the cost and all this kind of stuff, I can make another video later, but I think this will give you a good start. All right, so let's go ahead and watch segments from this video and let's try to understand some of the implications. Let's break down what they're saying and how that what that implies for the future of AI, whether it's assistants, agents, or AI solutions, whatever you try to build. Okay.
Is it going to be 90% accurate or 99% accurate in the next model? Because the difference really changes what kind of product you can build. And you know that you're going to get to 99, you don't quite know when, and figure.
By the way, if you guys don't know, the two key figures here in this video, this is Sam Altman, of course, you probably know, as the CEO of OpenAI. And the guy on the right is Kevin Scott. And he is the Chief Technology Officer at Microsoft. And as you know, Microsoft is a major investor in OpenAI. Okay, so now let's dive into the video.
Figuring out how you put a roadmap together in that world is really interesting.
Yeah, the degree to which we have to just follow the science and let that determine what we go work on next. Hard to get across. We have guesses about where things are going to go. Sometimes we're right, often we're not. But if something starts working, or if something doesn't work that you thought was going to work, our willingness to just say we're going to pivot everything and do what the science allows, and you don't get to pick what the science allows.
Yeah,
that's surprising.
I was sitting with an enterprise customer a couple weeks ago, and they said, one of the things we really want, this is all working great, we love this. One of the things we really want is a notification 60 days in advance when you're going to launch something. And I was like, I want that too. All right, so I'm going through, these are a bunch of questions from the audience, by the way, and we're going to try and also leave some time at the end for people to ask audience questions. So we've got some folks with mics, and when we get there, to be thinking. But next thing is, so many in the alignment community are genuinely concerned that OpenAI is now only paying lip service to alignment. Can you reassure us?
Yeah, I think it's true we have a different take on alignment than maybe what people write about on whatever that internet form is. But we really do care a lot about building safe systems. We have an approach to do it that has been informed by our experience so far. And touch on that other question, which is you don't get to pick where the science goes. We want to figure out how to make capable models that get safer and safer over time. And a couple of years ago, we didn't think the whole strawberry or the O1 paradigm was going to work in the way that it's worked. And that brought a whole new set of safety challenges, but also safety opportunities. And rather than plan from a theoretical, once super intelligence gets here, here's the 17 principles. We have an approach of figure out where the capabilities are going, and then work to make that system safe model ever. But it's also our most aligned model ever by a lot. And as these models get better intelligence, better reasoning, whatever you want to call it, the things that we can do to align them, and things we can do to build really safe systems across the entire stack, our tool set keeps increasing as well. So we have to build models that are generally accepted as safe and robust to be able to put them in the world. And when we started OpenAI, what the picture of alignment looked like and what we thought the problems that we needed to solve were going to be turned out to be nothing like the problems that actually are in front of us and that we had to solve now. And also, when we made the first GPT-3, if you asked me for the techniques that would have worked for us to be able to now deploy our current systems as generally accepted to be safe and robust, they would not have been the ones that turned out to work. So by this idea of iterative deployment, which I think has been one of our most important safety stances ever, and sort of confronting reality as it's in front of us, we've made a lot of progress and we expect to make more. We keep finding new problems to solve, but we also keep finding new techniques to solve them. All of that said, I think worrying about the sci-fi ways this all goes wrong is also very important. We have people thinking about that. It's a little bit less clear kind of what to do there, and sometimes you end up backtracking a lot, but I also think it's fair to say we're only gonna work on the thing in front of us. We do have to think about where this is going, and we do that too. And I think if we keep approaching the problem from both ends like that, most of our thrust on the like, okay, here's the next thing, we want to deploy this, what needs to happen to get there, but also like, what happens if this curve just keeps going? That's an effective strategy for us.
I'll say also, it's one of the places where I really like our philosophy of iterative deployment. When I was at Twitter back, I don't know, 100 years ago now, Ev said something that stuck with me, which is no matter how many smart people you have inside your walls, there are way more smart people outside your walls. And so when we try and get our, it'd be one thing if we just said we're going to try and figure out everything that could possibly go wrong within our walls, and it would be just us and the red teamers that we can hire and so on. And we do that. We work really hard at that. But also launching iteratively and launching carefully and learning from the ways that folks like you all use it, what can go right, what can go wrong, I think is a big way that we get these things right.
I also think that as we head into this world of agents off doing things in the world, that is going to become really, really important. As these systems get more complex and are acted over longer horizons, the pressure testing from the whole outside world, I really think is critical.
Yeah, so we'll go off of that and maybe talk to us a bit more about how you see agents fitting into OpenAI's long-term plans.
What do you think?
I think that's a huge part of I think the exciting thing is this set of models, O1 in particular, and all of its successors are going to be what makes this possible. Because you finally have the ability to reason, to take hard problems into simpler problems and act on them. I think 2025 is going to be the year that this really goes big.
Yeah, I mean, chat interfaces are great, and they will, I think, have an important place in the world. But when you can like ask a model, when you can ask like ChatGPT or some agent something, and it's not just like you get a kind of quick response, or even you get like 15 seconds of thinking, and O1 gives you like a nice piece of code back or whatever. But you can like really give something a multi-turn interaction with environments or other people or whatever, and like think for the equivalent of a really smart, really capable human and like have stuff happen. We all say that, we're all like, oh yeah, agents are the next thing, this is coming, this is going to be another thing, and we just talk about it like, okay, it's like the next model in evolution. I would bet, and we don't really know until we get to use these, that we'll of course get used to it quickly. People get used to any new technology quickly, but this will be like a very significant change to the way the world works in a short period of time.
Okay, let's go back to the point that he talked about the agents having a reasoning model, and I think that's a big differentiator, because now agents can do more sophisticated tasks, right? Like something that would take years or months for humans to do, agents can now break down that problem. Like, for example, you want to create an application, you want to create a software, you can have an agent, something like a Replit agent. If you haven't played around with the Replit agent, so I encourage you to do that. So agents have something called tools. All right. So what that means is that they can carry out functions. It's an LM model with hands, right? So they can carry out functions just like humans. But what really makes the differentiator to really produce sophisticated outputs, because oftentimes with just a GPT-4 model, it's just the output isn't so well thought of. Like you need the agents to really think through the analysis, almost like they're going through different loops to figure out whether the output actually solves the problem or not. Like, for example, you're creating a game and you want to make sure the game runs properly without any kind of errors, right? So these agents can now actually reason, think through the whole task so that the code that it gives you back is 100% functional. And this is important because coding is one of the hardest things to do for most people, right? So when coding is outsourced to agents, all you need to do is to figure out now how to talk to these agents or how to solve higher level problems. So you might even think of yourself now as a developer manager. So you have a developer or maybe a product designer in your back pocket. So you can actually talk to these agents to carry out these tasks. Okay, so let's go back to the video.
Yeah, it's amazing. Somebody was talking about getting used to new capabilities in AI models and how quickly, actually I think it was about Waymo, but they were talking about how in the first 10 seconds of using Waymo, they were like, oh my God, is this thing, like, there's a bike, let's watch out. And then 10 minutes in, they were like, oh, this is really cool. And then 20 minutes in, they were like checking their phone for, it's amazing how much your sort of internal firmware updates for this new stuff very quickly.
Yeah, like I think that people will ask an agent to do something for them that would have taken them a month, and they'll finish in an hour. It'll be great, and then they'll have like 10 of those at the same time, and then.
Yeah, comment below if you've used the latest reasoning model from GPT. Have you built any kind of applications with it? I was surprised because I was able to create a complete website and it looked really great with good UI, JavaScript, CSS, everything. It gave me the whole code. So if you have experimented with it, I'd love to learn if you have any kind of breakthroughs from using it. Put it in the comments.
They'll have like 1,000 of those at the same time. And by 2030 or whatever, we'll look back and be like, yeah, this is just like what a human is supposed to be capable of. What a human used to, like, you know, grind at for years or whatever, or many humans used to grind at for years. Like, they're just now like asking the computer to do it. It's like done in an hour. That's why is it not a minute?
Yeah, it's one of the things that makes having an amazing developer platform great too, because we'll experiment and we'll build some agentic things, of course, and like we've already got, I think just like we're just pushing the boundaries of what's possible today. You've got groups like Cognition doing amazing things in coding, like Harvey in case text. You've got Speak doing cool things with language translation. Like, we're beginning to see this stuff work, and I think it's really going to start working as we continue to iterate these models.
One of the very fun things for us about having this developer platform is just getting to like watch the unbelievable speed and creativity of people that are building these experiences. Like, developers, very near and dear to our heart. It's kind of like the first thing we launched, and just many of us came from building on platforms. But so much of the capability of these models and great experiences have been built by people building on the platform. We'll continue to try to offer like great first-party products, but we know that will only ever be like a small, narrow slice of the apps or agents or whatever people build in the world. And seeing what has happened in the world in the last 18, 24 months. It's been like quite amazing to watch.
We'll keep going on the agent front here. What do you see as the current hurdles for computer controlling agents?
Safety and alignment. Like if you are really going to give an agent the ability to start clicking around your computer, which you will, you are going to have a very high bar for the robustness and the reliability and the alignment of that system. So technically speaking, I think that, we're getting like pretty close on the capability side, but the sort of agent safety and trust framework, that's gonna be long.
And now I'll kind of ask a question, it's almost the opposite of one of the questions from earlier. Do you think safety could act as a false positive and actually limit public access to critical tools that would enable a more egalitarian world?
The honest answer is yes, that will happen sometimes. Like we'll try to get the balance right. But if we were fully YOLO, didn't care about like safety and alignment at all, could we have launched O1 faster? Yeah, we could have done that. It would have come at a cost. There would have been things that would have gone really wrong. I'm very proud that we didn't. The cost, I think would have been manageable with O1, but by the time of O3 or whatever, like maybe it would be pretty unacceptable. And so starting on the conservative side, like, I think people are complaining like, oh, voice mode, like it won't say this offensive thing and I really want it to, and formal company and let it defend me. You know what? I actually mostly agree. If you are trying to get O1 to say something offensive, it should follow the instructions of its user most of the time. There's plenty of cases where it shouldn't. But we have like a long history of when we put a new technology into the world, we start on the conservative side. We try to give society time to adapt. We try to understand where the real harms are versus sort of like kind of more theoretical ones. And that's like part of our approach to safety. And not everyone likes it all the time. I don't even like it all the time. But if we're right that these systems are, and we're going to get it wrong too, like sometimes we won't be conservative enough in some area. But if we're right that these systems are going to get as powerful as we think they are, as quickly as we think they might, then I think starting that way makes sense. And we like relax over time.
Totally agree. What's the next big challenge for a startup that's using AI as a core feature? I'll say it.
You first.
I've got one, which is I think one of the challenges, and we face this too, because we're also building products on top of our own models, is trying to find the kind of the frontier. You want to be building, these AI models are evolving so rapidly, and if you're building for something that the AI model does well today, it'll work well today, but it's going to feel old tomorrow. And so you want to build for things that the AI model could just barely not do. Where maybe the early adopters will go for it and other people won't quite, but that just means that when the next model comes out, as we continue to make improvements, that use case that just barely didn't work, you're going to be the first to do it, and it's going to be amazing. But figuring out that boundary is really hard. I think it's where the best products are going to get built, though.
Again, that's a very important point, that a lot of these LLM models would mostly work, but there's also going to be, it's not going to be perfect, right? So that's where there's a lot of opportunities for people to come in. If it works for you, it's great, right? But if you're a specialized business, or you have specialized knowledge or whatnot, then you might find edge cases where it does not work. And this is where a lot of creative output is going to come out from, like custom built LM models. So they've actually built up a lot of groundwork, right? They built up a base, and now you can start fine tuning these models for your specific case. And the image, the vision fine tuning is also something that's really exciting that just came out from the DevDay. You can actually take images, right? Of like whatever, if you have a business that has images or whatnot, or maybe you're an artist, you have a certain kind of art like style, and you can now take these images and use their vision model and fine tune it, right? So it can take the base learnings, the base LM, and then it's going to fine tune your style, and then it's going to give you a really solid model that you can use to recreate new images. And I'm testing something for thumbnails, and I'll make some content around that as well, how you can create your own thumbnails, because the data is already there, right? So it just depends on your creativity and what you'd like to get out of these LM models.
Totally agree with that. The other thing I would add is I think it's like very tempting to think that a technology makes a startup, and that is almost never true. No matter how cool a new technology or a new sort of like tech tidal wave is, it doesn't excuse you from having to do all of the hard work of building a great company that is going to have durability or like accumulated advantage over time. And we hear from a lot of startups, and OIC, this is like a very common thing, which is like, I can do this incredible thing, I can make this incredible service. And that seems like a complete answer, but it doesn't excuse you from any of like the normal laws of business. You still have to like build a good business and a good strategic position. And I think a mistake is that in the unbelievable excitement and updraft of AI, people are very tempted to forget that.
This is an interesting one. The mode of voice is like tapping directly into the human API. How do you ensure ethical use of such a powerful tool with obvious abilities of manipulation?
Yeah, voice mode was a really interesting one for me. It was like the first time that I felt like I sort of had gotten like really tricked by an AI, in that when I was playing with the first beta of it, I couldn't stop myself. I mean, I kind of, like, I still say like, please to ChatGPT. But in voice mode, I like couldn't not kind of use the normal niceties. I was like so convinced, like, it might be a real, and obviously it's just like hacking some circuit in my brain, but I really felt it with voice mode. And I sort of still do. I think this is an example of like a more general thing that we're going to start facing, which is as these systems become more and more capable, and as we try to make them as natural as possible to interact with, they're gonna like hit parts of our neural circuitry that would like evolve to deal with other people. And there's like a bunch of clear lines about things we don't want to do. Like there's a whole bunch of like weird personality growth hacking, like I think vaguely socially manipulative stuff we could do. But then there's these like other things that are just not nearly as clear cut. Like you want the voice mode to feel as natural as possible, but then you get across the uncanny valley and it like, at least to me, triggers something. And me saying like, please and thank you to ChatGPT, no problem, probably a good thing to do, you never know. But I think this like really points at the kinds of safety and alignment issues we have to start paying attention to.
All right.
All right. For those who are tuning in, we are talking about. We're actually watching this video from OpenAI DevDay 2024, and we are pretty much discussing. We just listened to this conversation, fireside chat between Sam Altman and Kevin Scott. Kevin Scott is the Chief Technology Officer at Microsoft, major investor in OpenAI. And I wanted to, if you just got in here, just put in your comments. If you have any questions, I'll answer them in the chat. Or if you have any insights from this Dev Day, then feel.
It has all the abilities that every other model that we've launched has. I'm really excited to see things like system prompts and structured outputs and function calling make it into O1. We will be there by the end of the year. It really matters to us too. We will begin, learning from there. They really want to get in for take this back to the research team. So we're not there. But there are a handful of things that we really wanted to get into O1, and we also, it's a balance of, should we get this out to the world earlier and begin, learning from it, learning from how you all use it, or should we launch a fully complete thing that is, in line with it, that has all the abilities that every other model that we've launched has? I'm really excited to see things like system prompts and structured outputs and function calling make it into O1. We will be there by the end of the year. It really matters to us too.
In addition to that,
by the way, guys, if you are curious, what is function call, what is structured outputs, what is system prompts, feel free to put it in the question or in the comments, whatever. We're all we were beginners at some point, so there's no silly questions. Don't feel bad for asking these, and these are valid questions because we're going to be building a lot of cool stuff in the coming years. So it's very important that you know some of these terminologies. Now, if you're curious what is structured output, I think this is a game changer and has made the function calls a lot smoother lately, and you can produce really nice UI elements with function calls. And we're going to dive into the real-time voice API that they just released, and I'm going to show you how the function calls now actually work with the UI instantly. All right, so we're going to dive into that. And if you're curious about what is structured output, I also have a YouTube video that talks about it, so you can check that out. Structured output. Okay, just type this out, and then you'll get more thoughts about it.
To reinforce this, we will get all of those things in and a whole bunch more things you'll have asked for. The model is going to get so much better so fast. We are so early. This is maybe it's the GPT-2 scale moment, but we know how to get it to GPT-4. We have the fundamental stuff in place now to get it to GPT-4. And in addition to planning for us to build all of those things, plan for the model to just get rapidly smarter. Hope you all come back next year and plan for it to feel way more of a year of improvement than from 4 Turbo to 1.
What feature or capability of a competitor do you really admire?
I think Google's notebook thing is super cool.
Yeah.
What do they call it?
Notebook LM.
Notebook LM. Yeah.
Guys, if you haven't checked it out, oh my God, you guys got to try this. It's called Google Notebook LLM. It's very underground, so a lot of people actually don't know about Google Notebook LLM. Type it out. Type it on Google. You can actually take a transcript from maybe your audio, turn it into a full-blown podcast. You can have speakers talking and discussing just based on your transcript. And people have already created Spotify playlists using AI-generated podcasts. And you could do that too. Maybe one of these days, I'm going to make a podcast series, turning and repurposing a lot of my content. And it's just cool. It's just crazy. And then you can pick I don't think you can pick the voices, but it just shows where things are going with AI-generated content.
I woke up early this morning looking at examples on Twitter, and I was just this is just cool. This is just a good, cool thing. And I think not enough of the world is shipping new and different things. It's mostly the same stuff. But that I think is that brought me a lot of joy this morning.
Yeah,
it's very, very well done.
One of the things I really appreciate about that product is there's just the format itself is really interesting, but they also nailed the podcast style voices. And
Yes.
They have really nice microphones. They have this sort of sonorant voices. Did you guys see? Somebody on Twitter was saying the cool thing to do is take your LinkedIn and put it, PDF it and give it to give it to Notebook LM, and you'll have two podcasters riffing back and forth about how amazing you.
I'm gonna try that. Okay, one of these days, take some of these LinkedIn posts and turn it into a full-blown podcast. There's also a lot of noise, so people are putting out content, and I think content is going to be a differentiator. You need to create your distribution channels, guys, because the market is wide open. It just go out there, create a solution, start creating these distribution channels. I have a LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram. I'm gonna put out my AI twin to do Instagram and all that kind of stuff. But take advantage of social media. Everything is there. The content repurposing. There's a lot of YouTube tutorials on how you can actually do that as well. And it's pretty easy nowadays. Now, if you need more advice on doing that, make sure you join the school community and just get in touch, put in your comments, your questions, and we can give you the tools you need to repurpose content. But that is really what everybody is doing, and you should be doing it as well. Create your own personal brand or whatnot.
You are accomplishments over the years. On projects, it's kind of a little bit more long-lived. It's something you build and can use over and over again. Projects are kind of the same idea, but like more temporary, meant to be kind of stood up, used for a while, and then you can move on. And that the different mental model makes a difference. And I think they did a really nice job with that. All right, we're getting close to audience questions, so be thinking of what you want to ask. So at OpenAI, how do you balance what you think users may need versus what they actually need today?
Also, better question for you.
Yeah, well, I think it does get back to a bit of what we were saying around trying to build for what the model can just not quite do, but do. But it's a real balance too, as we support over 200 million people every week on ChatGPT. You also can't say, no, it's cool, deal with this bug for 3 months or this issue. We've got something really cool coming. You've got to solve for the needs of today. And there are some really interesting product models. I mean, you think about, I'm speaking to a group of people who have never used any of these products, and that is the vast majority of the world still. You're basically giving them a text interface that's constantly evolving, that they've never seen or interacted with, and you're trying to teach them all of the crazy things that you can actually do it, all the ways it can help, can integrate into your life, can solve problems for you. And people don't know what to do with it. You come in and you're just people type hi. It responds, hey, great to see, how can I help you today? And you're okay, I don't know what to say. And then you kind of walk away and you're well, I didn't see the magic in that. And so it's a real challenge figuring out how we all have 100 different ways that we use ChatGPT and AI tools in general, but teaching people what those can be and then bringing them along as the model changes month by month by month and suddenly gains these capabilities way faster than we as humans gain new capabilities. It's a really interesting set of problems, and I know it's one that you all solve in different ways as well.
I have a question. Who feels like that they spent a lot of time with O1 and they would say I feel definitively smarter than that thing? Do you think you still will by O2? No one taking the bet of being smarter than O2. So one of the challenges that we face is we know how to go do this thing that we think will be at least probably smarter than all of us on a broad array of tasks. And yet we have to still fix the bugs and do the hey, how are you problem. And mostly what we believe in is that if we keep pushing on model intelligence, people will do incredible things with them.
All right, guys, thank you guys for joining this live stream. This was fun. watching this with you all. I'm gonna watch the rest of this later. Feel free to do it as well. There's tons of videos on this. And as you're getting insights, as you're getting breakthroughs, come to our academy, just drop your questions and we could talk about this also later. Now, this is another cool thing. I wanted to close off with a demo of the real-time voice API. And this is absolutely new. And this is going to crush Vapi and all these voice guys, because you now have OpenAI's version of the API, because now you can create apps and softwares, whatever, using voice, and it takes voice as an input and voice as an output directly, right? It takes the voice directly into the model, like the chat completion model. Before you had to, feed the text, then you had to convert the text to voice using a whisper model and all that kind of stuff, which increased latency. It was a lot of mess. But now you have a direct connection to the chat completion. And this really changes things, all right? So we're gonna run this, and I'm gonna show you how you can quickly deploy and run this also, and I'm gonna demonstrate how this works right now. All right, so let's go ahead and run this. So this is written in Node.js. This application is already written, and there's also some guide on how you can actually run this. It's very straightforward. If this is your first time, you can just download it as a zip file, if that's easy for you. I already have it in my local drive. Okay, so I have this in my local drive. So what I'm going to do is just open up command line. Okay, this is command line. And I'm going to cd into that directory. And like the instruction said, npm I already did npm I. Well, let's do it again. Let's try it. Okay, this didn't work. Okay. So this is building up the application. Now, as it builds up the application, let's discuss a couple of things. All right. So before, when you had the voice model from OpenAI, okay, as you know, let's take this one at a time. LM models from OpenAI is multimodal. It takes text as an input, it takes voice as an input, and it could also output text or voice. Actually, it also takes image, right? Also outputs image. So multimodal means it has, there's different senses. It's not just one sense. It's not just text. It's voice, text, image, all that kind of stuff. Now, before, what happened was it only took the text with the API. So when the LM model received the text, maybe you sent a text to the LM models like, "Hey, hello, how are you?" And then it took the text. It had to transcribe the text to an audio, and then basically, and then send it to another model to basically turn it back into text. There's a lot of latency there, but right now, you can directly feed audio to the LM model. So this is the latest update. It wasn't there before through the API, and you can actually get an audio back. Okay, so this is great. All right, so it looks like it was able to build the application. Now we're going to start it up and see what that looks like. npm start. And this is going to start up this application in the local computer. And we're going to show you what this looks like. And I'm going to speak to the voice assistant. And I'm going to try to speak it in different languages so you can actually see, understand me. And then also check the latency. we'll talk about pricing and other stuff later. I think that's a different conversation. That's for another day. Because I mean, yeah.
Hi there. How's it going?
Okay. So already you can see this is fired up. So this is supposed to do function calls. You can get the weather for a given city. Now you can actually, there's two options right here in the bottom. It's real time, like it's streaming, or you have a manual options where you can just push to talk. We're gonna do the streaming options, and let's go check the weather in different cities. Okay, this will be fun.
It sounds like you're noticing something interesting. What's going on at the bottom there?
Hey, what's the weather in Houston, Texas?
Right now in Houston, Texas, it's about 28.7 degrees Celsius with a gentle breeze at 12 kilometers per hour. How can I help you further?
What's the weather in San Francisco, California?
In San Francisco, California, it's currently 25.9 degrees Celsius with a light wind at 4.6 kilometers per hour. Anything else you'd like to know?
So as you can see, this is powered by the real-time voice API. It's streaming, and you can create your own applications on top of this. And I'm gonna create a lot of applications with the voice. The great thing with having the OpenAI setup is because you already have an assistant built up, and you can, for example, let's go back to the drawing board. If you have an assistant built up with a knowledge base, with function calls, with everything, you just use that assistant ID and your OpenAI ID or API, right? That's the only two things you need. You can drop all the other SaaS and other platforms like Vapi and all that, because they have their own assistants. You don't need extra assistants. You don't need to pay additional costs. You can just directly use the API and get rid of all the complexities. And based on what you're trying to do, you can maybe add integrations to like maybe a voice interface such as this, text interface. Maybe you can integrate it to WhatsApp or whatnot, right? It's all integrations. You're just popping in the API keys and it's already good to go. All right. So this is makes it so much easier. Let's go ahead and try it in different languages. Hola, ¿cómo estás? ¿Tú hablas
Hola.
español?
Sí, hablo español. ¿En qué puedo ayudarte hoy?
Y quiero entender cuál es el clima en Medellín, Colombia. Clima en... Okay, I think they didn't understand. Let's try again. Hola, vamos a hablar en español.
Por supuesto, podemos hablar en español. ¿De qué te gustaría conversar?
¿Cuál es el clima en Medellín, Colombia?
El clima en Medellín, Colombia, ahora mismo es de unos 25.8 grados Celsius, con una brisa suave de 6.3 kilómetros por hora. ¿Hay algo más que te interese saber?
Hola, você sabe português?
Sim, eu falo português. Como posso te ajudar hoje?
Clima em São Paulo.
No momento em São Paulo, a temperatura é de 27 graus Celsius, com uma leve brisa de 6.9 km por hora. Tem mais algo que gostaria de saber?
Tudo bom.
Estou aqui para ajudar.
আচ্ছা এখন আমি একটু বাংলায় কথা বলি আমি
De nada.
শুনছি যে ঢাকাতে নাকি অনেক বৃষ্টি পড়তেছে এখন ঢাকার ওয়েদারটা কি Yeah, the voice.
এখন
Oh,
প্রায় 27.1 ডিগ্রি সেলসিয়াস।
okay. अच्छा चलो भाई हम हिंदी में बात करेंगे न्यू दिल्ली में वेदर कैसा है yeah, it looks like some kind of lag in the system. Possibly because I'm streaming at the same time, but it started off good. Let's go start it again. Let's see what happens. Okay, connect.
Hey there, how's it going? What can I help you with today?
अच्छा चलो भाई मेरे को बताओ न्यू दिल्ली में वेदर कैसे है?
नमस्ते। अब न्यू दिल्ली में तापमान है 27.3 डिग्री सेल्सियस और हवा की रफ्तार है 2.5 किलोमीटर प्रति घंटा। मौसम अच्छा लग रहा है।
You know, I think that
और कोई जान
I think it just depends on the voice that you use. They're using some random voice here in this application, but you could swap out the voice with something that understands a specific language, and this will be much more better. And also, like if you're streaming and doing it at the same time, because there's a connection lag. But if I encourage you to try it out as well, and let me know what your thoughts are, because this is really exciting using voice applications with function calls. And notice how it changed the UI instantly, right? You take the voice, do function calls, and then change the UI. Like this is the future. Everything is connected, everything is happening in real time, and you gotta try it out if you haven't. And it looks like they're saving it in memory. So if you have an assistant that already comes with threads and memory, so you could also imagine yourself building an assistant with a voice, and then every time you have a conversation, it stores in memory. Okay. And I might use this for learning languages too, because this is exciting. Just being able to talk and then get your data stored, and it gets better and better over time. Let me know in the comments if you have any ideas in mind or any applications you're thinking about building with the real-time voice API, because this is a game changer, guys. In another video, I'm going to talk about the pricing, and I think that is also something to be talked about in detail. So yeah, this was fun, and thank you for joining this live stream, and we'll see you next week on Sunday. And in the meantime, take care. This is Imtiaz, your top partner to build, deploy, and sell reliable AI agent systems. Okay, so if you are ready, drop the silly chatbots and unleash the full potential of your AI agents.